I am super excited to chat with my good friend Rebecca Charlson. And Rebecca, we've been talking off and on about this event that we're going to be putting on for our market center for all the realtors in Lancaster, and frankly, anyone who is interested in creating a personal brand. And the reason it was important to me to have you come to our world is because recently NAR did a survey and they said, "Hey, consumer, why did you choose your realtor?" And people listed why they chose, and then they kind of ranked all the reasons why people chose their realtor. And the interesting thing was the lower on the list, people put their brokerage. Like they chose their realtor based on the brokerage. That was one of the last reasons. But the top reason they chose their realtor is because they personally knew them or they knew their realtor's team name over time. And so when I got your flyer and saw that, oh, you're creating, helping people create your potential and creating a personal brand, I wanted to learn more. So I'm hoping you can tell me more about what you're going to bring next Tuesday for us here in Lancaster. On Zoom, by the way.
Well, thank you so much for having me on to talk about this. Personal branding is definitely my passion. And as a personal branding strategist, essentially what I do is I turn experts into influencers to help them
Hmm.
build their online brand, grow their network, and get more referrals. So this training that we're going to be doing next Tuesday is going to be an introduction to help realtors understand first, what is your personal brand and why does it matter? So those are the two questions we'll be answering. And then we'll also be diving in deep in really the practical of what it means to have a personal brand and how you can start building it specifically online. Because right now, you mentioned with COVID-19, everybody's
Yep.
having to pivot their businesses, whether they're a realtor, a restaurant owner, business professional, somebody looking for a new job. Really, our personal brand is what going to bring us to the top of the list. Actually, if you don't mind, I'll do a little analogy real quick that I
Oh
like to
yeah.
show.
Love
Okay,
that.
awesome. Okay, so I'm going to show you some cards here, and you don't know what the card is, right? And
I
I'm going
think
to
it's an
pick
8. It's 8
an
red.
eight,
Or is
right?
it or 8
Well,
now?
let's say you're trying to find the ace, right?
I
Because
want the
that
ace.
is the
I want to be the ace.
right?
Yes.
Everybody wants to be the ace. That's the top card. That's the one
Yes.
that's going to give you more bang for your buck, right?
Yes.
So I can show you where the ace is. The ace is right here, but it got lost in the shuffle, right? That's a
Oh.
lot what it's like online, right? We all have our individual insights, our strengths, not to mention what we do, but very often we get lost in the shuffle. So one of the things I teach is my ACE strategy, which helps people learn the method of how I went from being a no-name sales professional to an influencer with Forbes. I was in a Forbes article on how to network effectively in the digital age, but I started out not knowing anybody. I moved to a town, this was about 8 years ago. I moved to a new town for a job promotion, became one of nationwide layoffs 5 months later, and I had to start networking locally, and I didn't know where to start. So
Wow.
through trial and error, I learned how challenging it can be to not only navigate the local networking community, but the online one as well. So through my trials and tribulations, I realized, wait a minute, this could be a lot more streamlined. There can be a system that helps pave the way to make it easier for others. So essentially, we'll be going over that GPS that I created so that you guys, your viewers, your listeners, realtors, can get more plugged into what's really going to help them be more successful and get more referrals.
So you mentioned something. You said during COVID, we had to shift our business, and I did notice this in the last 3 months. I see a lot more people coming online, like people are doing Facebook Lives, and it's not just open houses, because I
Right.
think people heard the message that it's important to go online, and so everyone's kind of coming out in the woodwork. And I could see that card trick. We even if I'm an ace, I may get lost in the shuffle. And that's actually frustrating because even if I have been a really good brand before and just do the same thing and don't actually become better, I might actually get lost in the shuffle of other people now flooding the market with personal branding. So I'm super curious, like, can you give me just a little bit of a framework of like, what do you help us do so that we kind of get out of the
So
shuffle?
essentially, what I teach this strategy. So I'm not going to go over it right here, but
No.
essentially, it's attract, connect, and engage. So I teach people how to build their personal, how to first discover, because the
Yep.
key is, I like to use another analogy. I'm a visual person, and I like
Yeah.
to do very engaging events. I find that we learn more when we have fun, right, and when we're
Yep.
interacting. So I like to use the analogy of a brick wall, and like a brick wall that has a lot of layers of bricks, and the bricks have different colors. That's like our personal brand. There's a lot of layers to it. And very often I have clients come to me who say, okay, we can use that analogy, but right now I just feel like I have a pile of bricks. It's a mess. And I do a little bit of this over here, I
Yeah.
do a little bit of that there. I do a couple of videos, I do whatever, and they're lacking consistency. And very
Yep.
often it's because they're lacking a strategy. They're lacking a strategy. So, what we'll be going over in that training is a strategy that really, it's more like the reason for the strategy, what's included with that strategy to kind of help them start thinking bigger. And then I'll also go over my personal story in a little more detail so they can also be inspired to understand that
Oh yeah.
there is a lot more to what you can be doing right now to grow your referral network.
So I'm just thinking here as we're talking, and all those of you listening right now, I think I see there's like I think 23 people listening right now. So those of you on the call, think about your own brand or your personal brand. Like, how well do people know you? If you were to grade yourself from 1 to 10, and 1 being that your brand is a pile of bricks and there's really no structure, and
They
10
might
being
be
you have
solid bricks.
yeah. And 10 being you have your house built, your billboards out there, and everyone is tracking to get to know you. Drop in the comments 1 that you're a pile of bricks, or 10 you've pretty much got everything together. Because I'm just curious what you guys are feeling out there.
Yeah,
Obviously,
or
if you
maybe you're
watch
in the
this on
middle. Or maybe
yeah,
you're
and
in
if
the
you
middle. So, on that scale of 1 to
yep,
10, how confident do you feel about how you're branding yourself online? How are you interacting with people at networking events? Next time we can do networking events.
yeah.
That really is a good way to gauge it.
When I'll tell you, this is the new networking event. Rebecca, right now, you and I are actually networking. Like, this is part of it. And I'll tell you, those
Absolutely.
watching, we did this live because Rebecca is actually helping us promote this event. And this video is one of the pieces in promoting this event. And as you can feel, it's fun to feel this event before it actually happened. And so to me, Rebecca, thank you for giving us kind of the steps, like when to send an email, when to reach out to people and say, hey, you're invited. And by the way, those of you watching it now, if you want to join in on this next Tuesday, drop a comment and say, count me in, and then I'll send you a link to sign up for this. And this is so helpful, and I'm actually more excited now than just 10 minutes ago about next Tuesday. So
Yeah,
thank
and
you
I
for that.
I would recommend that whoever's watching that wants to come, this could be a great way to show value to somebody else, maybe a friend that you have, and you say, "Hey, I'm coming to this. Here's a link. Do you want to come with me?" Like when you're able, and these are one of the things that I teach, when you can establish yourself as an influencer and as
Yep.
a connector, that really puts you at the top of the deck. You know what I
Oh,
mean? You're not
wow.
lost in the shuffle when people see you helping them. So, yeah, it's like
Oh,
you
so
said,
so not only sign up for this and say count me in, share this video and say, "Hey, you need to get in on this too to make your brand better." I love that, Rebecca.
absolutely. And the other thing I would recommend, Paul, too, is I know you know, this is specifically targeting realtors.
Yep.
Realtors have other realtor friends, and we just find that, you know, it's kind of like we end up talking about what's wrong with the world and the frustrating domino effect that's happening right now, and the delay in things opening up and not knowing what next steps are. This is a great thing you can share with a friend where maybe you've been having those conversations, a realtor friend, and say, hey, why don't you jump on, this is virtual, don't have to wear a mask,
Yeah, exactly.
and join us.
Love that. Well, I tell you what, I know you're busy, and so to respect your time, I just want to wrap this up and thank you for coming on and kind of sharing with what your passion is. And I can hear the passion in your voice and how much you really want to help people. So, is there any one last thing you want to share in us preparing for this? Like, what should we bring and
Yeah.
prepare before we come on Tuesday?
Well, and I'll tell you what you can expect too. Okay, so there's four takeaways that you can expect to have with this online training. The first is you're going to explore your personal brand and why it matters. We talked about that. The next is you're going to have the opportunity to discover your super strength. I have a fun 7-question quiz that gets your mind thinking bigger about how you can empower the way people listen to you and engage with you. Okay, so you're going to discover your networking super strength. You're also going to learn 3 keys for marketing success, and you'll receive the Discover Your Personal Brand workbook download.
We
And
get a
that
workbook?
down, yeah, you get
What?
a free workbook with
Love
this.
it.
So the workbook is what you're going to be able to use to really nail down what your brand is based on insights, strengths, your background, skill set, so many different conversation topics. Really hope you hone in. And then what you'll be able to do with this workbook is create a value proposition. I've heard people refer to it also as an elevator pitch. I don't like calling an elevator pitch because
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Paul, but when I think about being on the elevator, I feel like
Claustrophobic.
I know, right? Besides being closer, yeah, you feel like you're being closed in on all
Yeah.
sides, right? And you're like, help, let me get out of here. Or with an elevator pitch, you're looking at your watch and you're saying, do, 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 when are they going to be stopped? When are they going to stop talking so I can get on
Yep.
with my life, right? But what I like to think of your value proposition is your empowerment pitch because it empowers your
Yeah.
listener to want to engage with you and learn from you more. So with that workbook, it's gonna help you work through the steps of creating an empowerment pitch. And that will be another takeaway. So yeah, definitely come. It's going to be a lot of fun and you'll definitely walk away with the tools to build a stronger online presence.
I have to tell you, just as we're talking, two people were looking through my windows like, yes, I'm in, I'm in. So I'm telling you, this is not going to be small. Or else they want me to get off the phone. I have no idea. So, Rebecca, thank you so much. I can't wait to see this.
Of
And
course.
for again, in the comments, say count me in if you want a link to sign up. And if you're a realtor in Lancaster, look for an email later today from the office that there'll be a link in there. You can just easily click. We want to make this as easy as possible to sign up, but we want you to
Definitely.
get your workbook too. So that's why we have you do the sign up form.
And if people want to learn more about me and just my background and what
Sure.
I do, they can go to createyourpotential.com and they'll learn a little bit more why this training is going to be so powerful.